Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me again. This is for Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024. Got a little picture of our newest doggy here. His name is Blaze. We'll talk about him in a bit. So going right into the markets, we've got the MMRI did pull back a bit as we were kind of looking at yesterday. Still an extreme risk. We've got a fair grade indicator also inched back towards the grade level, and strength coming back into the markets a little bit. Now, the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield pulled back. This gave that breathing room as we were talking about. So currently stocks are green. However, volatility index is increasing. We've also got the future in concurrence with this. So the current sentiment is that stocks are looking to continue higher, at least on open, but we're on watch for a turning, either later today or tomorrow, depending on the support level for the relative strength of the dollar or a catalyst, possibly Friday's inflation data that everybody is looking toward. So what we saw is the relative strength of the dollar pulled back below that 106 level, and there could be a turning. So when the dollar gets weaker, it leaves room for a stock market to go higher. So in reverse, if the 10-year yield, which we always watch, or that strength of the dollar increase could cause a tumbling in the stock. So going into the calendar and earnings, there wasn't much yesterday. Today we are getting GDP prior to the market open, along with jobless claims. We also had new home sales yesterday, and we're getting pending home sales today. I expect those to be lower. We'll see how they say as far as what is expected. So with earnings today, we've got Southwest. Microsoft is a huge one. And then we're also getting, before the open tomorrow, some oil, big oil and AbbVie, the healthcare. So just a reminder, set yourselves up for those prior to the open tomorrow. We've got Treasury yields ticking higher. Looking forward to that inflation report as we were speaking of. So if that goes higher, it could put pressure on your stocks. So looking at banks, we have the chairman of UBS saying Swiss capital plan is the wrong remedy. So he's upset about this because they're basically requiring higher capital requirements. They have to have more cash on hand. And this is putting pressure on them to actually have some backing. And they are talking about needing $20 billion of capital under the proposal. Right now, if you go to the bank and you ask for a larger sum of money, they don't have it. So there's kind of bank runs going on in the background. And this is in Europe, but as well in the US. So next story, we've got current administration in the United States also proposing highest capital gains tax in over 100 years for stocks and cryptocurrency. So they're looking to bleed any way that you can make money or get ahead as possible. They want to put in this universal basic income for the basically what is to become the lower class, middle class, to shove them into the lower class. So going on to US Treasury is about to take a step designed to make the bond market more resilient. Why do they have to do this? This is their loan department basically to themselves. So between the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, they've got a scheme going on with the US dollar. Things are weakening across the board internationally. Now, US dollar is still the reserve currency, still stronger than others, but there are liquidity issues going on. As long as these bank runs are kind of kept at a minimum, they are continuing on with this. However, if there's any type of issue, it could really rock the markets. We're really in a basically at times that are uncertain for this banking industry. So caution here. We've got the Bank of Indonesia surprised with a rate hike, and they're expecting the rupee to gain on this. They're a smaller currency at the moment, so not a lot of trades on this side. However, they're downplaying this, and I think it's a precursor to another issues along with these trades in these currencies will affect the value of the dollar. We've also got China telling brokers to limit their exposure to this snowball derivative. So China's also seeing this increase in risk is getting extreme and it is leveraged. So whenever you get this leverage in here, that is what kills the markets. So they're clamping down and at least not allowing any increase in this exposure. So we've got a lot going on today. As we were talking about, the first story is the US mortgage applications fell the most in 2 months. Well, the new home sales are telling the tale about companies having to pay down points, give a little more, get people into purchasing homes. The 30-year mortgage rate just rose to a 5-month high, over 7% again. This is basically going to crush housing market. Along with this, we've got Florida's home insurance industry. Now they're finally coming out saying that it may be worse than anyone realizes. But we've been talking about this here for a few months now because we could see this run up. As soon as they're having all of these disasters, the money has to come from somewhere, and insurance companies were the expected hit. So with this, we've also got warnings from Taiwan chipmaker UMC warning of muted auto and industrial demand. So the auto industry is in trouble as well. Less new vehicle loans, less new vehicle purchases, and there's the repossessions are on the rise. So the consumer is in trouble. And we've also got, along with the buy now, pay later, there are now new, basically payday loan apps. And that's what this is about, that these apps allow workers to get paid between paychecks. So one is called Earnin. So there's more than a dozen of these. So they are called earned wage access. Basically, what they do is short-term loans to workers in between their paychecks so they can either pay their bills or purchase food. And what they do is they charge fees. So it's a loan against your paycheck. They do charge high fees for this, and people get roped into these to where they get their paycheck, but they don't have enough for that paycheck when it comes because they have to pay this. So they have to do it every week. So we've got Larry Ellison. He's the head of Oracle. They're moving their headquarters from California to Texas, and now from Texas to Nashville, because they want to be closer to the healthcare sector. So with the aging boomer population, there's quite a bit going on to this as well. So I've got, this is up about the U.S. having new insidious plan for Venezuelan oil. Basically, they're planning sanctions, trying to get oil cheap. There's not a lot about that, but it's a back-end attempt to control inflation from a different direction. So we've got Airbus allowing banned Russian titanium. So this is just a grand scheme, basically putting on sanctions. No one else is allowed to use Russian metals. This is what that came from. However, Airbus still needs it. They're a company, so they're still purchasing. Absolutely ridiculous. So back to the economy. Within the United States, they've got several well-known fast food chains filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. If you recognize any of these brands, and it's only going to spread. So a large part of this is California, because they're forcing minimum wage of over $20. So this is what happens when government manipulates the free market. What are we watching? We've got the U.S. Senate passed the bill to force sale of TikTok program. So rather than allowing individual control of this, they're doing blanket bans, blanket sales. That's going to lead to some other things as well. So I wanted to bring up this story about remnants of the bird flu virus found in pasteurized milk, controlled by the FDA. It's another attack on the United States food supply. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. So I wanted to bring up, as we're talking about the Terminator robot, there's a lot behind this, but all I'm going to say here is that this is now able to be purchased in the basically by civilians. It's not government controlled. Robot drone doggy with a flamethrower attached, and it's only regulated in 2 states. So a little bit more about doggy probably later. If you have interest, throw it in the comments, and I'll talk about him a little more. And then we've got a huge dust storm coming from Africa, basically. These are the skies and what they look like over Athens. So just pretty interesting things going on there. So it does block out a lot of sun and will have issues in the agricultural side as well as other implications. We've seen these huge dust storms before. So going on with this, we will be on Discord from 10 a.m. to 10:30 live if you would like to join us. There is a link in the chat, and these are some of the topics we'll be talking about, some research, and I'm not going to say more than that. You can read that. We've also been talking about the Supreme Court weighing in on a couple of things, as well as Russian scientists learning to capture biometrics of a brain imprint. So some interesting stories with that. So this is going on. Got to get to the markets and get this out. With that, I wish you a green day if you're trading. Just wonderful day in general. And if you'll be on the nails, talk to you in a bit in Discord. So don't forget that link is in the chat. I've left it in the links under the description. Feel free to join us until I see you again, my friends. Stay free.